After a long day of casting on the lake with only a few follows and a painfully close encounter with a mistake on a fly,
never give up.
Chris, Jeff, and Pete decide to try their luck on one of the Hayward area rivers, drifting the current with Chris's guiding partner, Lucky. Before heading out, Chris reminds Pete that however ingrained his instincts may be at this point, his conventional hook set will not work with a fly rod.
You'll never get it out of my fingers. Now point and do the strip set a couple times.
Oh, this is going to be tough to remember. Well, it does definitely load up.
And I'm trying. I can't hang on to it when you do that.
Right.
You know?
No, you really can feel it. So let's practice out in the river. There's too many bugs here by shore.
So up here in northern Wisconsin, there's tons of lakes that have muskies in them, but what we specialize in is these river floats fly fishing for muskie. And what's really cool about these rivers is there's not a lot of pressure on them, so these fish are a little bit more eager to play the game for us. In the springtime, we're catching these fish coming off the spawn. They're going to be coming out of these feeder creeks. A lot of that shallow water up sunning in the sand or up in these riffles and below the rapids is a really good summer pattern. As the season progresses into September, October, these fish start dropping down into the system a little bit more, going into the deeper water, the holes and some back eddies. And what's really cool about these fish with these flies is they really react to how these flies move in the current. You can pause that fly and it's still sitting there undulating and moving and turning, and that's great. You stop it and it's not going anywhere, but it's still moving. That drives those muskies crazy. So what's really cool about fly fishing these rivers is that your high percentage areas are a lot smaller. Whereas you're in these big lakes, you've got maybe a 100-yard weed line to fish. That's just not the case in the river. You've got these smaller eddies, maybe spaces behind a rock where that fish is holding away from the current. You've got just a little bit more of an opportunity in the river to put that fly in front of an active fish in a smaller area and get that big fish in the net.
So we're floating this beautiful river, and I've actually given a lot of effort to this fly fishing thing. Hey, I love it. I think I was doing pretty well, but you know, their old habits die hard. We got one on their Norwegian fly rod. The old ways came through and I decided that I had to throw a bucktail a little bit and a couple other baits to cover some water. Well, that was cool seeing that right in the current, man. Just, whoa. I'm like, wow, I didn't think they bit in that skinny water like that. I apologize, you guys, for giving up on the deer hair there for a little while, but it's just, there's, you know, 3 decades worth of, you know.
It's completely understandable.
Yes, well,
It's okay, Pete.
Mad boy, mad boy. That was cool. You guys see that leap? Was that what was that, like a double Sam Woo or something like that it did there?
You pulled the double sow cow on
Yeah,
you.
well, that's what it did. It's doing one right now. I think we'll let her go. I guess that's the waving goodbye deal there. There's wanting to go. Zoom! On out of there. This is kind of fun. I like this river stuff.
The Real Deal, real fishing information from real fishing experts, presented by AmSoil.
Well, this is my baby. This is my workhorse. A lot of times when I go out ice fishing, you know, I'm carrying either a lot of equipment because of the TV show or just going out with a big group of anglers. And because of that, I got to carry a lot of stuff. I can carry a couple augers on here, can carry a couple one-man shelters on racks on the front and back. I can even pull 1 or 2 shelters behind this thing. So this thing does a lot of work and it gets a workout. So because this sled works so hard, and of course it's always out in cold conditions, what you really want to look at is a synthetic oil. Now, why is synthetic so important? The first reason is that when you go to start this engine, you need it to turn over quickly in the cold. You know, if you've got a battery started one like this, you don't want to wear down your battery. And if you're pull starting it might be even more important because you don't want to wear down yourself. The second time that this is really important is when the engine first starts. What you need is for fluid to start moving quickly through the engine. And because synthetics doesn't gum up and doesn't get gooey like regular oil, it moves very quickly and protects the engine right away. Most of your wear and tear on your engine is actually when you first start it up, especially in cold weather. The last situation where this is real important is, of course, when you get out on the lake. You just got a lot of gear here, you got cold weather conditions, you got a lot of weight you're pulling, so having good lubrication is super important. You know, the guys on the AmSoil snowmobile race team rely on this particular oil in their high performance engines. My engine's high performance too, so this is the oil that I'm going to use.